In the vast and varied kingdom of plants there exists a remarkable spectrum of life. From the towering giants of the forest to the delicate blossoms that grace our gardens, they are the silent architects of our world. We often admire them for their beauty, their fragrance, or the sustenance they provide. But nature, in its infinite complexity, has also armed some of its creations with formidable defenses. Some plants are so dangerous, you shouldn't even touch them. Their existence is a stark reminder that the natural world, while beautiful, is not always benign. These are not plants that are merely toxic if ingested. Their danger lies in their very surface, in the oils, saps, and microscopic needles they employ to ward off any creature that might dare to come too close. A simple passing brush against a leaf or stem can be enough to trigger a cascade of painful and sometimes debilitating reactions. The human body, for all its resilience, can be profoundly affected by these potent botanical weapons, resulting in severe rashes, agonizing burns, and in some cases, long-term sensitivity or scarring. And so, we embark on a journey to uncover these masters of chemical warfare. We will explore the hidden dangers lurking in woodlands, wetlands, and even seemingly tranquil rainforests. Understanding these plants is not about fearing nature, but about fostering a deeper respect for its power and complexity. By learning to identify them and the mechanisms they use, we can navigate the green world around us with the caution and wisdom it deserves, appreciating its beauty from a safe and respectful distance. Our journey begins in the rainforests of Australia, home to a plant with a truly fearsome reputation. It is known to the local people as Gympie-Gympie, and scientifically as dendrochnide moroids. To the unsuspecting eye it appears rather ordinary, with large heart-shaped leaves covered in what looks like soft downy fur. But this innocent appearance is a profound deception. The entire plant, from its stem to its leaves and fruit, is covered in a dense coat of tiny hollow silica-tipped hairs, or trichomes. They are in essence microscopic hypodermic needles. When an animal or indeed a human makes even the slightest contact with the plant, these brittle hairs break off from the leaf and embed themselves in the skin. The action is instantaneous. The fine glass-like tips pierce the epidermis, and through their hollow shafts they inject a highly complex and stable neurotoxin. The effect of this venom is not just immediate but also notoriously long-lasting. It is a pain that has been described by those unfortunate enough to experience it as a combination of being burnt by hot acid and electrocuted simultaneously. The agony begins almost instantly upon contact and intensifies over the next half an hour, reaching a peak of excruciating, relentless torment. The affected area becomes covered in red spots which join together to form a swollen, painful mass. This initial acute phase can last for hours, even days, with little to no relief. The pain is so severe that it has reportedly driven horses to madness, and has been known to cause intense suffering in humans for weeks or even months after the initial encounter. What makes the Gympie-Gympie's sting particularly insidious is the persistence of the embedded trichomes. Unlike a bee sting, which can be removed, these microscopic needles are incredibly difficult to dislodge. They remain in the skin, continuing to cause waves of pain whenever the area is touched, exposed to water, or even subjected to a change in temperature. The very act of showering can trigger a fresh onslaught of agony, weeks after the first touch. Even being near the plant can be hazardous. The trichomes are shed constantly into the air surrounding the Gympie-Gympie. Inhaling these airborne needles can lead to severe respiratory distress, causing nosebleeds, intense sneezing fits, and damage to the respiratory tract. For scientists and forest workers who must operate in its vicinity, respirators and full protective gear are not a recommendation, but an absolute necessity for survival. The toxin itself is a marvel of evolutionary engineering. For a long time, scientists struggled to identify its active components. Recently, a new class of peptides named Gympie-Gympie were discovered. These molecules are remarkably stable and are structured in a way that allows them to directly target and interfere with the pain receptors in nerve cells, locking them in an on position and ensuring the sensation of pain is both intense and incredibly persistent. This plant serves as a powerful illustration of the lengths to which life will go to protect itself. The Gympie-Gympie does not actively hunt, it simply stands its ground, armed with one of the most effective and agonizing deterrents in the entire botanical kingdom. It is a silent guardian of the rainforest, demanding respect and a very, very wide berth from all who pass by. Its story is a humbling lesson in the potent chemistry that can be concealed within a simple green leaf. We now move to a more familiar yet no less troublesome adversary found across North America and parts of Asia. It is a master of disguise, appearing as a climbing vine, a low-lying shrub, or even a small ground-covering plant. Its name is poison ivy, Toxicodendron radicans, and its notoriety is well-earned. The old adage, leaves of three, let it be, is perhaps one of the most vital pieces of botanical wisdom one can learn, for it is the key to avoiding a truly miserable experience. The danger of this plant lies not in needles or thorns, but in a substance that is invisible to the naked eye. Contained within the sap of the entire plant, its leaves, stems, and roots, is an oily organic compound called urushiol. This oil is incredibly potent and astonishingly resilient. It can remain active on surfaces like clothing, garden tools, or even a pet's fur for months, sometimes even years, waiting for an opportunity to come into contact with human skin. When urushiol touches the skin, it binds to skin proteins. For the majority of the human population, the immune system identifies this new compound as a foreign invader. It mounts a vigorous defense, a type of allergic reaction known as contact dermatitis. This immune response is what causes the infamous poison ivy rash. It is not the oil itself that does the damage, but our own body's overzealous attempt to fight it. The reaction typically begins 12 to 48 hours after exposure. The skin becomes red, swollen, and intensely itchy. Soon, fluid-filled blisters or vesicles begin to form, often appearing in streaks or lines that trace the path where the plant brushed against the skin. The itching can be maddening, and scratching, while providing momentary relief, can break the blisters and lead to secondary bacterial infections, complicating the healing process. It is a common misconception that the fluid from these blisters can spread the rash. This is untrue. The rash can only be spread by the urushiol oil itself. If a rash appears to be spreading over several days, it is usually because different areas of the skin absorb the oil at different rates, or because of re-exposure from contaminated clothing or objects. The oil is so pervasive that even the smoke from burning poison ivy can carry the urushiol, causing not just a widespread skin rash, but also potentially life-threatening inflammation of the lungs if inhaled. The appearance of poison ivy can be maddeningly variable, which contributes to how frequently people come into contact with it. The three-leaflet structure is the most consistent feature, but the shape of the leaflets can vary from smooth-edged to toothed or lobed. Their color changes with the seasons, from a reddish hue in the spring to a lush green in summer, and finally to vibrant shades of yellow, orange, or red in the autumn, making them deceptively beautiful. Navigating the great outdoors, particularly in wooded areas, requires a vigilant eye for this chameleon-like plant. Learning to identify its tripartite leaf structure in all its forms is the first and most crucial line of defense. Avoiding contact is the only sure way to prevent the itchy, blistering ordeal that follows a close encounter with this ubiquitous and highly irritating plant. It is a silent testament to the fact that even the most common plants can conceal a powerful chemical punch. Journeying across the North American continent, we find a close relative of poison ivy, a plant that shares its toxic heritage and its capacity for causing human misery. This is poison oak, which exists primarily in two species, Toxicodendron diversilobum on the Pacific coast and Toxicodendron pubescens in the southeastern United States. While it belongs to the same genus as poison ivy, it has its own distinct characteristics, though its effects are distressingly similar. Like its cousin, poison oak's menace lies in the potent oil, urushiol, which permeates every part of the plant. The chemical composition is nearly identical, and so too is the allergic reaction it provokes. Contact with any part of the plant, leaf, stem, or root, whether living or dead, can transfer the oil to the skin, initiating the same process of immune system alarm, leading to the familiar maddeningly itchy and blistering dermatitis. The primary difference lies in its appearance, which can make identification a challenge. The name oak is derived from the shape of its leaflets, which often have lobed edges that bear a superficial resemblance to the leaves of an oak tree. However, it steadfastly adheres to the family rule. Its leaves are always clustered in groups of three. This trifoliate pattern is the most reliable clue to its dangerous identity, a warning sign from nature to keep one's distance. Poison oak exhibits a versatile growth habit. On the west coast, it frequently grows as a dense, woody shrub, forming thickets that can be difficult to navigate. It can also adopt the form of a thick, climbing vine that ascends high into the forest canopy, its hairy-looking stems clinging tightly to the trunks of trees. In the southeast, it typically remains a low-growing, less aggressive shrub. This variability means one must be constantly aware of its potential presence in a wide range of environments. The seasonal transformation of poison oak adds another layer of deceptive beauty to its character. In the spring, its new leaves emerge with a glossy, often reddish tint. Throughout the summer, they mature to a deep green, sometimes losing their sheen. But it is in the autumn that it truly puts on a show, its foliage turning into a brilliant display of crimson and scarlet. This fiery spectacle can tempt an unwary hiker to admire it up close, a decision they would soon come to regret. Even in winter when the leaves have fallen, poison oak remains a threat. The bare, woody stems still carry the urushiol oil on their surface. A hiker pushing through a thicket of leafless branches can easily become contaminated without ever seeing a single leaf. The oil's longevity is remarkable, and the risk of exposure persists year-round, a constant hazard in the landscapes it inhabits. Understanding the subtle differences between poison oak and the harmless plants it mimics is a crucial skill for anyone who spends time in the wild places it calls home. Its resemblance to a true oak is a clever piece of natural mimicry, but the cluster of 3 leaves is the giveaway. Heeding this simple sign is the key to avoiding the painful, itchy consequences of an encounter with this beautifully treacherous plant. Our next subject takes us away from the dry woodlands and into the damp, swampy heartlands of eastern North America. Here, in the saturated soils of bogs, fens, and along the banks of slow-moving streams, grows the most potent member of its toxic trio, poison sumac, Toxicodendron vernix. While its relatives, poison ivy and oak, are widespread and common, poison sumac is more selective about its habitat, which thankfully makes encounters less frequent. However, the severity of the reaction it can cause makes it arguably the most dangerous of the 3. Unlike its low-growing or vining cousins, poison sumac is a woody shrub or small tree, capable of reaching heights of up to 30 feet. This different form can lead to misidentification. It does not have the characteristic leaves of 3. Instead, it has a compound leaf structure, with a central stem bearing multiple pairs of leaflets, typically 7 to 13, arranged opposite each other, with a single leaflet at the very tip. This arrangement is known as pinnate. The leaflets themselves are smooth-edged, elongated, and come to a distinct point. The stems that hold these leaflets, known as petioles, are often a bright, distinctive red, which can serve as a helpful, though not entirely constant, identifier. In the autumn, its foliage transforms into a magnificent canvas of orange, red, and yellow, a beautiful but perilous display. It also produces clusters of creamy white or pale yellow berries that hang in loose, drooping bunches, a key feature that distinguishes it from harmless, non-poisonous sumacs, which typically have fuzzy, upright clusters of red berries. The danger, once again, is the insidious urushiol oil. Poison sumac is thought to contain a higher concentration of this irritant than either poison ivy or poison oak, leading to a much more severe and rapid allergic reaction. For individuals who are highly sensitive, contact with poison sumac can result in a medical emergency. The resulting dermatitis is often accompanied by extreme swelling, intense weeping of the blisters, and a pain that goes beyond simple itching. Because it grows in wet, marshy areas, people often encounter it while canoeing, fishing, or hiking through wetlands. A boater might brush against an overhanging branch, or a hiker might step on a root while navigating a boggy patch of ground. As with its relatives, every single part of the plant is toxic. The oil can be transferred just as easily, and its potency means that even a very slight contact can lead to a very significant reaction. The smoke from burning poison sumac is exceptionally dangerous. The urushiol volatilizes and is carried in the soot and ash. Inhaling this smoke can cause a severe inflammatory reaction in the lining of the lungs, a condition known as pulmonary edema, which can be fatal. It is a stark reminder that the danger is not confined to direct physical touch. The plant's chemical defenses can become airborne and invade the body's most vulnerable systems. The secluded, waterlogged environments that poison sumac prefers may keep it out of sight for many, but for those who venture into these unique ecosystems, it represents a significant hazard. Its elegant, tree-like form and beautiful foliage belie the virulent chemistry within. Recognizing its pinnate leaves, reddish stems, and wetland home is essential knowledge for safely navigating the wild and watery places of the world. We now turn our attention to an invasive giant, a plant of monumental proportions with a truly sinister defense mechanism. This is giant hogweed, Heracleum mantagatianum. Originally native to the Caucasus mountain region of Eurasia, it was introduced to Europe and North America as an ornamental curiosity in the 19th century. Its towering height and enormous umbrella-like flower clusters were deemed impressive, but its creators were unaware of the severe danger it posed. It has since escaped cultivation and become a noxious invader of riverbanks, roadsides, and waste grounds. Giant hogweed is a true behemoth of the plant world, a herbaceous biennial that can soar to heights of 15 feet or more. Its hollow, ridged stems can be up to 4 inches in diameter, often mottled with purple blotches and covered in coarse white hairs. Its leaves are immense, deeply incised and jagged, capable of growing up to 5 feet across. In summer it produces a massive, flat-topped flower head or umbel composed of thousands of tiny white flowers, which can span 2.5 feet in diameter. Its sheer scale is a sight to behold, but the danger of this plant lies in its sap, a clear, watery fluid that circulates throughout its stems, leaves, and even its hairs. This sap contains toxic organic compounds called furanocoumarins. Unlike the allergens in poison ivy, these chemicals are phototoxic. This means they do not cause a reaction on their own. Instead, they require a catalyst, the ultraviolet radiation present in sunlight. When the sap comes into contact with skin, the furanocoumarins are absorbed. If that area of skin is then exposed to sunlight, a chemical reaction is triggered. The compounds become energized and begin to destroy skin cells, effectively causing a severe chemical burn. The reaction is not immediate. It begins within 15 minutes of sun exposure, but the full effects are not seen for 24 to 48 hours. The resulting condition is known as phytophotodermatitis. The skin becomes red and inflamed and large, painful, watery blisters form. These are not mere rashes, they are true burns, equivalent in severity to a 2nd or 3rd degree thermal burn. The blisters can take weeks to heal, and after they subside, they often leave behind dark purple or black scars that can persist for years. The affected skin can also remain hypersensitive to sunlight for a very long time, sometimes permanently. The most terrifying risk associated with giant hogweed involves the eyes. If even a minuscule amount of sap gets into the eyes and is then exposed to sunlight, it can cause severe inflammation and damage to the cornea. This can lead to temporary or, in some tragic cases, permanent blindness. Children are particularly at risk, as they may be drawn to the plant's large, hollow stems, thinking they would make good toy telescopes or pea shooters. Because of its invasive nature and the severe public health risk it poses, many regions have implemented eradication programs. Workers tasked with removing giant hogweed must be clad in full-body waterproof protective gear, including gloves, face shields, and respirators. The plant is a formidable opponent, a cautionary tale of what can happen when a species is introduced into an environment without its natural predators, and with a defense mechanism perfectly evolved to harm. Our next plant is one that many of us may have encountered, perhaps during a childhood adventure or a walk in the countryside. It is the stinging nettle, Urtica dioica, a common and widespread plant found across the temperate regions of the world. While its effects are typically less severe and long-lasting than the others we have discussed, the immediate, sharp shock of its touch is an unforgettable experience. It is a master of the instant reprimand. The stinging nettle is a herbaceous perennial that often grows in dense patches in disturbed ground, woodland edges, and near farmland where the soil is rich in nitrogen. It grows to be about 3 to 6 feet tall, with a rigid square-shaped stem and jagged, pointed leaves that are arranged in opposite pairs. The entire plant, especially the underside of the leaves and the stem, is covered in a formidable armament of stinging hairs. These hairs, known as trichomes, are the plant's delivery system for its chemical cocktail. They function much like the hairs of the Gympie-Gympie, but on a less severe scale. Each hair is a fine, hollow tube, stiffened with silica, with a tiny bulbous tip. This tip is designed to break off at the slightest touch, leaving behind a sharp, angled point, much like a miniature hypodermic needle. This point easily pierces the skin of any passing animal or human. Once the skin is punctured, the pressure of the contact forces the fluid contained within the hair to be injected into the wound. This fluid is a complex mixture of irritating compounds. For a long time it was thought that formic acid, the same chemical used by ants, was the primary culprit. However, we now know that the main agents are neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and histamine, along with serotonin and other potent chemicals that our own bodies use for cell-to-cell communication. The effect is immediate. The injection of histamine triggers a classic inflammatory response, a sharp, stinging or burning sensation followed by itching. The skin around the sting quickly develops raised whitish bumps or welts, known as hives or urticaria, a term derived directly from the nettle's Latin name, urtica. This localized rash is typically temporary, and the discomfort usually fades within a few hours, though for some, a tingling sensation can persist for a day or more. Despite its unpleasant sting, the stinging nettle has had a long and close relationship with humanity. When cooked or dried, the plant loses its sting, and the leaves become a highly nutritious food source, rich in vitamins A and C, iron and protein. For centuries it has been used to make soups, teas and even beer. The tough fibers in its stem have also been used for millennia to make textiles, creating a cloth similar to linen. The stinging nettle is a paradox. It is a plant that punishes the careless touch with a sharp sting, yet rewards the knowledgeable forager with nourishment and useful materials. Its defense is a reminder to move through the world with awareness. It teaches a direct and memorable lesson: look closely before you touch. Its sting is not a declaration of war, but a simple, effective request to be left alone. Our final and perhaps most terrifying subject is a tree so toxic that it holds a Guinness World Record. Found in the tropical coastal regions of the Americas from southern Florida through the Caribbean and Central America, this is the Manchineel tree, Hippomene manzanilla. Its Spanish name, Manzanilla de la Muerte, translates to Little Apple of Death, a chillingly accurate description of the danger it represents. The Manchineel is an unassuming tree often found growing on coastal beaches and in mangrove swamps, where it acts as an excellent natural windbreak and protects against coastal erosion. It has reddish-gray bark, long-stalked glossy green leaves, and produces a small greenish-yellow fruit that bears a superficial resemblance to a crabapple or a small green apple. This tempting appearance is part of its profound danger. Every single part of this tree is saturated with a cocktail of powerful toxins. The most significant of these is a milky white sap which contains phorbol and other potent skin irritants. This sap is present in the bark, the leaves, and the fruit. Mere contact with a leaf or a broken twig can cause a severe blistering rash, an acute contact dermatitis that is far more aggressive than that caused by poison ivy. The sap is a virulent chemical weapon. The danger extends beyond direct contact. One of the most insidious aspects of the Manchineel is the risk posed by rain. Standing beneath the tree during a shower is incredibly hazardous. As raindrops pass through the leaves, they collect sap and carry it down onto the person below. Even this diluted contact is enough to cause severe blistering and burning on the skin. The tree effectively creates a shower of acid rain around its base. The little apple of death is not a misnomer. Ingesting the fruit, which is said to have a deceptively sweet taste initially, is a life-threatening medical emergency. The sweetness quickly gives way to a peppery, burning sensation and a tightening of the throat. It causes severe gastroenteritis with vomiting and diarrhea, and can lead to ulceration and edema of the esophagus and oral cavity. The swelling can become so severe as to block the airway, and without immediate medical attention, ingestion can be fatal. Even the smoke from a burning Manchineel tree is toxic. The airborne sap can cause extreme irritation to the eyes, leading to a condition known as sandbox eyes, with intense pain, inflammation, and temporary blindness. Inhaling the smoke can cause severe respiratory problems, making even clearing the land where these trees grow a perilous task. Indigenous Caribbean peoples were known to use the sap to poison their arrow tips and to contaminate the water supplies of their enemies. In many areas where the tree is common, they are now marked with a red X or a painted band on the trunk, accompanied by warning signs cautioning people to stay far away. It is a tree that demands to be left entirely alone. The Manchineel is a testament to the sheer power of botanical chemistry, a living embodiment of danger that hides in plain sight on some of the world's most beautiful beaches. It is the undisputed king of untouchable plants. Our journey through the world of these formidable plants reveals a crucial truth about the natural world. Its beauty is often intertwined with potent and sophisticated defenses. From the agonizing sting of the Gympie-Gympie to the sun-fueled burns of the giant hogweed and the all-encompassing toxicity of the Manchineel tree, we have seen how plants have evolved remarkable ways to protect themselves. These are not acts of malice, they are strategies for survival, honed over millions of years of evolution in a world where every living thing must find a way to endure. This knowledge should not inspire fear, but rather a profound and cautious respect. When you walk through a forest, hike along a riverbank, or stroll upon a tropical beach, be mindful of the silent inhabitants around you. Take the time to learn the flora of your local area, especially those plants known to be hazardous. The simple ability to identify poison ivy's 3 leaves or poison sumac's wetland habitat can be the difference between a pleasant day outdoors and weeks of painful recovery. Always be cautious around unfamiliar plants. As we have seen, looks can be deceiving. A plant with beautiful flowers, inviting fruit, or lush foliage may be concealing a powerful chemical arsenal. It is a vital reminder that we are visitors in a complex ecosystem, and it is our responsibility to move through it with wisdom and awareness. So tread carefully, observe from a distance, and carry with you the knowledge that will allow you to appreciate the full, wild beauty of our planet safely. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful plants are the most dangerous.